Welcome to RWS Trivia. We do it from time to time, and the questions are warranty-based. They're lab-based. They're all the things that we do. They might be about our partners out there, and we have a lot of partners. So you should know something about those groups, whether they're agents, home inspectors, and of course the end user clients that we serve. And some of these questions may be a little bit off the wall. They might just be business questions. We'll start with something that you should know, though. You should know what we celebrate here, because we have a mission, right? Does anybody know our mission? This isn't one of the trivia questions. We'll get to the first one very shortly. But what is our mission here at Residential Warranty Services and all of our affiliated companies? Call it out. Oh man, I've posted this mission statement so many times, and it's okay if you know. I understand you might be afraid to get it wrong or whatever, but don't be afraid in this room.
You all work here.
What is it? Yeah, you all work here. That's what I think right now. That's what's on my mind. So here's our mission. It is to reduce and eliminate liability for any and all parties to the real estate transaction, thereby making that real estate transaction smoother. At the end of the day, everything we do leads to a better transaction. And there's certain things in the world we can't change, particularly the amount of money that people have after they go to a closing table. You know how much money they have after they go to a closing table? For most people, not a lot. Not a lot. And let me tell you why. It's just, this is the system. We didn't invent it, but there is financing for homes, and it's possible to get very close to zero down and purchase a home. It's possible to put a little bit of money down. It's possible to put a bit more money down. But most people, just by the way our structure is in this industry, and the way that the tax laws are written, the way that mortgages can be applied for and received, the reality is most people spend a great deal of their free cash on that process. And when they come out the other side of that process, they can't necessarily afford a lot. They have to build back up their reserves and their emergency fund, right? So there's one thing that we celebrate here in light of all that, the one thing that we do every day that helps people, that it should be our mission when we wake up, and this isn't our core business, and I understand you guys and our partners don't necessarily work in this department directly, but what is the number one thing we celebrate? You have 5 seconds to write it on your board and discuss amongst yourselves. I'll bring you back. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. It's a single word. That's all you need to do. All right? Put it up on the boards. Everybody raise their boards. All right. Things we celebrate. Okay. The customer service life. Okay, life. We celebrate life. Yes, we celebrate life. I'm well known in all corners of the country for celebrating life and being a very positive person, working on that. It is something to be celebrated, and you should have a life that's worth celebrating. Do what you need to do to have that. It is not, however, what we celebrate and as the number one answer here that I'm looking for. So 0 points for synergy. Growth is also something we should celebrate. Clients, we should celebrate them all the time. I mean, if it wasn't for them, what would we be doing here? Not much. The homeowner, the end user, they are ultimately who we work for. It doesn't mean that we don't provide a lot to others in the process of that, and that we don't have partners, but they are also, it's also not the answer I was looking for. All good answers, by the way. I see you adjusting your answers after I've already called for, you see, you've broken the rule. That's a -1 for the call center gang. I have a very arbitrary scoring system. I handle it myself. It's important to handle some things yourself, and that, I find that important to me. What else? You can't change it afterward. I can't take that answer. Next.
We said
Clients? Okay. Let me give you the answer I was looking for. Claims. We should be celebrating a claim, because there's a reality here, folks. We get sewer guard claims all day long, mechanical claims all day long, structural claims on a lower frequency, but they're big. And when somebody is there, You know, if you really understand the process by which they got there, that their real estate agent offered up a list of home inspectors, they called around, that home inspector happened to be on our call center or offered our warranties and understood how to present them to the client. When they called in, they said, you know what, with our inspection, we include that underground sewer and water line coverage absolutely free. Then they bought it, they spent all their money, they got to the real estate transaction, they move in, and they have a bad day because their house fills with poo. It can happen. It can happen. And when it does, we can make that day a little bit better. Every time you cover a sewer guard claim for thousands of dollars, that's someone who could have gone down a path that didn't have that result. So you should be celebrating that because we did what we were designed to do, right? We fulfilled our mission. I celebrate that more than anything. Name our 3 top states where we have the most employees per state. Right? 3 top states that we employ people. Eight seconds left. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. It's okay, you can show it to me. They're generally not looking backwards. Try not to cheat off other people. Keep the integrity of the game. We have Texas, Florida, and Indiana from the Wildcats. We got that from Synergy. We got Georgia in there. We got Jack Buh is in that. Indiana, Florida, Texas, same. And then others said Georgia. Interesting. Georgia is one of our top states where we employ people, but it is not in the top 3. The answer was Indiana, Florida, and Texas. I got a Jack Buh, Synergy. Who else had that? Who else had that answer? The Wildcats. Okay. Well done. Well done. And of course, Indiana is where our headquarters is, but we have a giant facility down in Fort Lauderdale. We just added onto it. We've tripled the size of it since our first lease there, and it's only going to get bigger. All right, I put these in a random order called whatever comes on top. Okay, we're going to go to a random fact. Okay, what does TOP stand for? You have 5 seconds. It's an acronym. Go ahead. 5. You can guess, it's okay. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Show me your answers. All right. You didn't even guess. Good for you. You know, some people want to have accurate information that they put out there. We don't want to misrepresent anything. You didn't know the answer and you said we don't know the answer. That's perfectly fine. In fact, I'm going to give you half a point to make up for your -1. You're still at -0.5, which is really bad. I mean, you're doing worse than anyone in the room. What's that answer there, Ashley? Total operation program. You know what? It sounds plausible. It's incorrect. The operations property. Okay, doesn't make any sense to anybody. Top office producer. No, but it sounds sexy. Like it. Blank. Okay, I already gave half a point to them for that nonsense. Total online presence. Guess what?
That's what it stands for.
That's what it stands for. Total recall check. You get 3.25 points for that. So congratulations. That's right. That was a big one. So here's the deal. Total online presence is what we called it back in the day, that we launched a digital platform for these inspectors so that we could kind of centralize some of the, making their Facebook pages look right and streamlining some of their digital, social media stuff, online stuff. And we sold that for a monthly fee. What we found was that they wanted more. They wanted meetings. They wanted, a bigger value in that package. We kept adding to it. Eventually, the acronym was just a fun thing. It was just TOP. And even, I would say, the members of that group have no idea what it stands for. And here's the other thing. They will not let us change the name of the group. There's hundreds of them. And I floated the idea of, here's the new name for the group. No. They own it. And they were very clear with me that it is not to go under any sort of name change. Okay, so Name a single license that we have as a company, either us, one of our affiliates, one of our subsidiaries. Name a type of license that we have. Go ahead. Write it down. Bonus for multiple licenses that we hold. I'm going to give you 10 seconds on this one. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, board's up. Let's see what kind of licenses we decided that we have. All right. We have, okay, this is, see, what I meant, by the way, and it's okay, keep them up. What I meant was licenses that might be issued by a state or a country or some sort of government license. So very cleverly, the Total Recall Check team said that we have a license for Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Office. Yes. We have no less than hundreds of software licenses and multiple platforms that we have licenses for on hundreds and hundreds of machines. So interesting, but I'm going to dock you 1 point for that just because, you know, that's how this, it's not fair. I'm sorry. JAGBA, we have an ASHI license and a real estate license. Okay, all right. So ASHI is a private organization, doesn't offer any sort of licenses. They're not a licensing authority. And words are so important, you know? When you have a license, when you're able to say, I have that licensure, or I have that certification, or I have that, you got to know that stuff. You got to know your stuff. So I'm afraid not. Real estate license, though, we do have many people, many of our associates have a real estate salesperson, associate, or broker's license. So that is one of the licenses that people here have. Of course, we don't use it to sell real estate because we wouldn't want to compete with our clients or clients of our clients. So we don't operate in that regard. But I'm going to give you 1 point for that. Over here, Synergy said insurance, business entity, inspector, home inspector, wannabe baby. What?
No, it's just
We have a wannabe baby license.
no university.
University license. All right. So let's try to make sense of that nonsense after we go through the other ones because it just has a few issues. So we've had people say contractor. That is true. We have multiple persons that have contracting licenses that we operate through as a company for a number of different purposes, not necessarily things you deal with on a day-to-day operation. We have a home inspection university. We bring that up. Okay, so home inspection university has courses that are approved by states for continuing education for people that have licenses. In some states, we are licensed as a continuing education provider, including states like New York, where they have actually fingerprinted me because apparently they find me qualified to teach home inspectors to inspect homes. I don't believe I'm that qualified, but it's okay. Another one, this insurance thing is a pretty good one. I'm going to have to give a point to Synergy, a point to the Wildcats, because on insurance licensing, we have so many different licenses. We have a carrier license for the state of California. We have licenses to be a service contract provider. We even have people inside our organization that are licensed insurance agents on property and casualty and such. Let's see, what else? Gosh. There are a lot of things. Like I could go on for a long time on the license front. Yes? You already got a point. A business entity? A business entity I don't consider to be a license. You know, when I was saying license, I was really referring to professional licensing. In other words, I want to do something professional, so I need a license for it. Just as a side note, how many of our real estate agents out of the 157,000 of them that utilize our services on some level, how many of them have a license? All of them. That's right. Every single state has a real estate license. Now we'll flip that into a different kind of question. This one you can write on your board. We'll see who wins. We got that. I mean, we talked about it. Go ahead.
Get a point for contractor.
Yes, yes. You are now at positive 0.5 points. Doing well. No, it's okay. Don't worry about my arbitrary scoring. It works out in the end. That's all you got to know. So, how does one become, in the simplest, the shortest, fewest words, we'll get a bonus here of 4.77 points. How does one become a realtor? Write it out. You have all of 10 seconds remaining. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, throw them up. Let's see. Classes including legal ethics, core, the state exam, a national something,
National exam.
national, and dues. All right, we're pretty close on that one. At the end of the day, that's a pretty concise way to put it, and there's nothing about that is inaccurate. It's pretty accurate, actually. Go to a 90-hour broker class, be 18 or older, and pass an exam. Here's the reason why that answer is incorrect. In order to be a realtor, you have to do one thing. There is only one thing. Take a real estate test. No. 90 credit hours. No. Classes in a real estate test. No. Money is a part of it. Classes. No. The designation realtor is a trademark owned by the National Association of Realtors. In order to be a realtor, all you have to do is join the National Association of Realtors. All right? That's it. You are in real estate licensing classes, my dear. You are not in realtor classes. A realtor is not a professional license. It's not a professional designation of sorts. It's not something that the states regulate. The real estate license is regulated. In the state of Indiana, it's been a while since I looked at this number personally. We have, of course, our sales teams that do this. But at one point, I looked at a list when I was doing mailers of around 60,000 licensed real estate salespersons in the state of Indiana at a time when there were less than 22,000 realtors. Okay? So you can have a real estate license and it can be in all sorts of different statuses. I've had it. Mine has a status. Right now it would be in the expired category because I don't utilize it and have other people with those licenses. And candidly, I don't like going to the classes. But that license doesn't make you a realtor. No, it's not weird. It's fact. Yeah, your teacher needs to learn how to use words and be accurate with those words. And teachers should always be accurate with their words. And I'm sure that he knows a lot about real estate. I had a great real estate teacher when I did my classes. I was a senior in high school. I was working a full-time job and doing that on the way over to it. His name was Jeff Gilliam. And I learned at the North Central High School J. Everett Light Career Center or whatever. And anyway, so he did those classes, and it was part of a course that was owned by a guy named Tony, who owned a Century 21 franchise. Great dude, died way too young. Very tall, big. Yeah, that's right, Tony Rogers. Yeah. And man, photogenic. He's a handsome dude. He was a very handsome dude and so nice. Anyway, one of those guys that gave you a shot. You always have those guys that you go, man, I'm really glad I met that guy. And Tony would be one of them. I can't give away any points for that one. Write down the other name for Inspector Lab. 5 seconds.
Done. Oh. Okay.
Signs up.
That's not it.
Signs up. All right. We have the Pack Attack has gotten a point. The Wildcats have gotten a point. Wow. Okay, so the answers in this room, in our own company, it's okay. Look, you guys are doing a lot of different things for a lot of different people. It's maybe not your focus, and that's why we have these things to learn a little bit. Another name for it is not ProLab. That's way off. That's a different company altogether. Yeah, so no on that. We had ISG over here. ISG is the Inspector Services Group. We offer a lot of things to home inspectors. Certainly take the lab with us along to those events, and it's a part of the package of things that we do for the best home inspectors in the land. But the right answer, and a couple of you got it, was Priority Lab. That's right. And you know, Inspector Lab sounds great to inspectors. It's a great recruitment thing, but as clients go, when they get a report and they see Inspector Lab, they might go, what does Inspector Lab mean? But when they see Priority Lab, they go, okay, it sounds more like a brand that has the credibility that they want. Here's another interesting fact. We work with a lot of remediation companies. I go down and do training for ServPro in Gallatin, Tennessee, and at their annual conventions. And I don't see how a national branded, the biggest remediation company in the world's history would say, wow, we can't wait to do business with Inspector Lab. They don't even know what a home inspection is necessarily, right? So you gotta make sure your branding is right. And we had some points to give away for that one. That's good. Let's see. What else do we got? What state was the home of the auto industry prior to World War I? 5 seconds. What state was the home of the auto industry in America prior to World War I? It's trivia, okay? It doesn't have to, like I could ask you, you know, all sorts of things. Prior to World War I, where was the center of the automotive industry? All right, put the signs up. That's enough time. All right. Illinois, great guess, but wrong. Michigan became the center of the auto industry largely after World War I. So close but no cigar. You're at Michigan. What did you put down? You can't go changing your answer. Kentucky, Michigan, and we have two that got it right. Indiana is our home state where our headquarters is. We got 1 and 2. All right, so as we're recording, we want to keep the conversations happening when you're formulating your answers. Indiana had hundreds and hundreds of automakers at some point. That Stutz office center downtown, go there, see some of their old cars. I think the last, somebody can fact check me on this later, but I think the last Studebaker made in our great state was like in 1963. And you know, that's the reason why we have things like the Indy 500. You know, just a little history lesson. But it's also something that you should think about in business and how far we've come. I mean, that was a time when people were building things. Like, you should expect to go to work and maybe lose a finger or a hand that day. And there are people that, you know, if you know, anybody have a grandpa, great uncle, or otherwise someone that you know pretty well that's missing a finger from work? Yes, I know quite a few. It was a different time. And those jobs were, you know, surprisingly almost more mobile than some of our jobs today. I mean, you know, most of what we do is on an internet browser, and yet we've been here since what year?
1988.
1988, that's correct, right here. All right, let's see. Here's a good one. This is a coverage question. Does a mold test or evaluation have to be done for someone to have a mold safe claim covered? Yes or no question. You have 3 more seconds. Does a mold test or evaluation have to be done for someone to have a mold safe claim? Yes or no? All right, we have points for everyone but Synergy. So that's really easy on my arbitrary.
I tell you, I had no one they made me change it.
Okay, all right. So here's the thing. Many of our coverages, and this is something you ought to know, many of our coverages are related to the home inspection. It's some verification that it was working fine at some time. With Mold Safe, this is complex, and I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible so that you can all understand. Home inspectors, as a part of their basic, home inspection package, as a part of their standards of practice, whether by licensure or by an organization they belong to, do not have to include looking for, identifying, testing for, or any sort of issues with mold. But here's what we know as experts in the industry. Inspectors don't generally see something that looks like mold or moisture and just walk by it and say, well, that's not my job. So we trust that they will go through the house, and if they see mold, that they'll say something about it. They might not call it mold, they might not do a test that day, but there will be some indication, and there's ways that they write that are fine. Here's the thing about mold safe. We wanted people to walk into a house and not worry about visible mold. So even if the mold was there but not visible, it could have been behind a couch, it could have been behind a curtain. If they see it when they move in, that is in fact covered. Okay, you should all know that. Let's see. We're going to go next. And by the way, why would we do that? Because it's our mission to make the real estate transaction better. And we know that there's a limitation on the inspection side. We know that there's an expectation on the buyer's side. And we know that when they move in, we want their experience to be something particular and particularly good. Without Mold Safe, without a company like ours to make sure that this happens, without great partners and home inspectors out there promoting this message and offering this to their clients, the response when somebody moves in and says, I see mold, the response is, that's really bad luck for you. Sorry that your day is worse. That's not a good response. The best response is to cover it. Okay, so this is a really insightful question. Probably one of the best of the day. This is an integer I'm looking for. I'm looking for a number. And you can, let's just call it a number between 1 and 5, and it's a whole number, right? It's there's no decimal points in this. How many poops in a flush? Go ahead, you have 5 seconds. How many poops per flush should a normal toilet operate with under normal circumstances? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right. Hold them up. Hold them up. Hold them up. All right. All right. So I'm going to have to ask, I have been asking people in these trivia rooms about this particular issue because, it's come up recently. It was brought to my attention that someone, we'll call him the double deucer. We assumed him because it was in a men's restroom. But somebody took a crap on top of another crap, okay? Like there's already a crap there. And then they used that again, without the flushing sequence. And, we got 3 here. Why? Why are there 3 poops per flush cycle? A flush cycle is not a difficult concept.
It was a complex mathematical equation we went through to get there.
Right. Okay. All right, look, we can't have a long conversation about this, but I will give 100 points to anyone right now who can tell me the word for, the single word for fear of constipation. Anybody? Anybody? Okay, it's what? Nope. Coprostastophobia. Yeah. Coprostastophobia is the fear of constipation. And this is a very real fear because somebody was looking at a toilet. There was 8 other bathrooms. Some of them have multiple toilets. Somebody was looking at a toilet saying, man, that toilet already has 1 poo in it. And I'm going to put another right on top. I can't imagine what goes through someone's head. Yeah. It's a very serious issue, and by the way, I might have my thoughts as to who it is. So if I'm looking at you funny, I don't know what you can do to change my mind. All right. This one is a really good one. What was, and there's a single word, a single product. It's a product and a single word, a category of product. What was the first use in business history of a brand name? You have 10 seconds. It's okay to guess. The first use of a brand name. The phrase brand name did not exist until someone decided to brand something as their own and sell it as a brand. That happened with one particular category of products, and I'm just asking for a guess if you don't happen to know it. And you can put it in a fairly broad category if you want to, but the more specific, the more credit I'll give you in our arbitrary scoring process. All right, 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, show me. All right, Levi's. That's a company, not a product, and wrong. Cars. It wasn't. I'm sorry. Candy, Hershey's. Nope. And too specific, ketchup. Yes. The brilliance of branding throughout the business universe is because of those ketchup guys. They were incredible, just innovative. No, those are squashed up tomatoes. The people running that weren't brilliant. Okay, Apple what? Like the computers? I'm sorry, brand names were around long before computers. Okay. Did I miss anybody? All right, I'll give you the answer. It's whiskey. The first time there was ever a brand name, it was in the known history of these things, is when it was stamped into a whiskey barrel. And so you would know you were buying that type of whiskey. And why did it matter? Because it had a certain flavor, it was from a certain place, you could trust it wasn't going to kill you. Yes, sir. Cattle were never branded and in a brand name sense. Again, I'm looking at the brand name quote here. Were they branded? Yes, but that was more about ownership. And that's happened in ownership, protection of goods, identification, and the prevention of theft since the beginning of time. And in some ways horrible, in some ways very effectively, and in some ways great. So, there's a lot of history in that. We won't get into it, all right? Let's see. What are our hours here?
24/7.
We have an excited group. The afternoon is when people wake up 24/7, 24/7. That's right. All around the board, I'm giving you all points. I'd say the Wildcats are doing pretty good. 365. But I did ask about the hours, not the days. Extra credit, though. All right.
Sorry, I got excited.
All right, I'm gonna give you another fun one. I think I have a quote for you. Occasionally I'll bring you an interesting quote. I'm looking for the person who said this. Okay? It's a famous person. Like, I wouldn't bring you a quote from me. Like, yeah, like, hey, I have a quote for you. Guess who said it? Who said the following? Why would someone take two poops in the same? No. All right, here's the quote. I've never had an accident worth talking about. That's the quote. You decide who said it or who might have said it. And if you can identify them in any way by name, title, position, how you would know them, they are famous in the world's history. I've never had an accident worth talking about. You got 10 seconds, counting it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's okay to guess. It's okay to guess, guys. 8, 9. Please leave that just like that. All right, put the signs up. Let's see what kind of guesses we have. All right, Dr. Seuss. I do not know if he was accident prone, but he was not credited with this quote. Benjamin Franklin certainly did a lot of things that, I think were accidents worth talking about. I think he would have said the opposite. Thomas Edison twice. That's the third time we've gotten between you two. Number 3, Thomas Edison. Question marks in the form of snakes. We'll take that. Ben Franklin, still wrong. I think you're Leo Coco. Lee Iacocca is who I would have guessed you were talking about. Lee Iacocca is not who I am talking about. The quote was from Captain E.J. Smith, who very famously was, the captain of the RMS Titanic. Okay? So it's all about perspective and timing. Whenever you hear somebody that was given a quote, now this is really really important. Whenever you hear a quote from somebody that is out of context at a different time or whatever, you don't take it personally. If people knew that that was one of his quotes as the ship was going down, he wouldn't have to be the captain that stuck with the ship the way that old ship captains do, and maybe they still do, I don't know. But he probably would have been murdered, everything's a matter of perspective. I'd be really pissed. I'd be like, wow, way to be pretty cocky there, dude. Right, but no, this was his quote, right? All right, so here's an easy one. What do you do? What is the procedure when you lose your password to any of our systems here? We have lots of systems. You lose a password. What do you do? Who do you tell? How do you deal with it? You have 5 seconds to put it on your board in some way that we can all understand. All right. Put them up as soon as you got them. I see you're all writing and you're close, so that's fine. All right, we have telemanager. We have contact HR. We have send an email to a supervisor. And we have contact supervisor. And then we have Synergy. And we have Jackba. And we have the Wildcats. All got the answer right. Let me see yours. Telemanager, no. The answer is click to recover or reset or whatever your password. We have links on that to everything. It is not your supervisor's job to reset your damn password because you forgot the password that you use every single day. Okay? That's stupid. And it's a time waster. And let me tell you, I've never seen a more entertaining email thread than an email thread between our lab director. Does anyone know who our lab director is, by the way? Name him. Dr. Shane. That should almost be a trivia question. Doc Shane is brilliant. He looks through microscopes and he can identify like anything. You could ask this guy, you could ask him about anything biological, like he has an answer. One time I asked him what you call an instrument that removes poo from an animal's backside. And he knew the answer to that question. That'll be in next trivia, so don't miss it. Yeah, next trivia. We don't want to talk about that right now. But Doc Shane's brilliant, and yet, his password wasn't working for whatever reason. He emailed our CTO, the guy who's in charge of all the programmers. I mean, we're talking 20 to 40 programmers on any given day are working for this guy, and he's trying to manage all of those things from all these different systems. And an email comes in from Dr. Shane. Hey, Justin, I lost my password. And Justin responds in Justin fashion. This would be a wonderful opportunity for you to utilize the link for resetting or recovering your password on that site. And then Doc Shane responds with, wow, that is such wonderful information, and I appreciate the resources that you've bestowed upon us down here at Inspector Lab. I mean, it was priceless. They started getting all sarcastic with each other. But you can do that when you're friendly, and as much fun as it was reading that email, my suggestion to you is that you simply know those things. Your supervisors are not here to wipe your butt. And if they were, please check for double craps. Okay? You want to make sure they're single crapping. All right, here's a trivia question. In what state do we not pay administrative fees to real estate agents that procure home warranty service contracts at closing? Write it down. 3 seconds left. 1, 2, 3. All right. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Yes, 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 yes. California. California was the answer. Oh, and by the way, this is really important for you to know because the right words save time. Otherwise, it's a bunch of emails back and forth to figure out what we're even talking about. It is not a RESPA fee. And if you're not listening right now, you should be. It's not a RESPA fee. It's not a commission. It's an administrative fee. And by the way, what do we expect? What are the kind of things that we expect if we're paying an administrative fee to an agent who's procuring this, who's helping us with this relationship, who's helping us do things? What might they do that they're earning this standardized fee for? Yes?
So one of the questions is asking how many appliances are in the home, so they have to fill out a form.
All right, so they may actually help us to gather information about the home so that we have the right coverage in place. That's one part of it. What about explaining the policy is a great one. But also, what else might they do?
Appliances.
That's gathering information. I'm putting that in one category. David?
Buy down the fee.
No. We're talking about something that isn't even close to what we've got to stay in this lane, okay? This is really important because we're going to confuse people. And when we confuse people, then misinformation happens and whatever. Yeah, go ahead. We don't actually pay them for referrals. They refer us every single day without any specific payment for that. It's a good guess. Here's what I was looking for, okay? If we have a communication problem with a client, if we need information about a house that we already have under warranty that could help us to do the thing that we celebrate most, which is what?
Claims.
Claims, that's right. We celebrate claims the most. If that agent can help us to get information that helps us to process a claim, they are obligated to help us do that. We send them a form. We say, here's all the things that we expect of you. Just sign this form. Now, does that mean that they're going to have to do it on every policy? Absolutely not. It might be a rarity, but agents love to help their clients. So if you got a client that is not understanding something or doesn't have a piece of paperwork, or maybe we have people here now that speak several languages. So this is less of an issue than it was at one time. But if you have somebody who speaks a language that nobody speaks that you're aware of, and they know English but not that great, you might even use them for translation a little bit. It helps. Let's see, what else? We're only going to do two more if that's okay. We have a pretty good idea of the score here. Are stoppages covered by sewer guard? It's a yes or no question. Stoppage is covered by sewer guard. You have 5 seconds to get your answer with your team. All right, we are scribbling with our finger. All right, there we go. All right, we have an answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, everybody got it correct. We're going to get points all the way around, which on grading on a curve essentially did nothing for any of you. So here's the thing. Why is it that we don't cover stoppages? Why?
I mean, we cover drain line stoppages on the simple warranty. It's an add-on, but it's also sewer guards for breakage.
Okay, sewer guard is for breakage. We do cover stoppages as part of our 1-year policies as an add-on on the Advantage plan. Of course, we're getting into really complex stuff, but we're looking for big concepts so that we can apply those big concepts to things so that we can all have an understanding. The reason we don't cover it is because sometimes people take a crap on top of another crap. Okay? It's not pretty. All right, so the real reason, if we go back to the root time that we were thinking about this coverage and that we added sewer line coverage and stoppages and stuff, many years ago, before we ever launched Sewer Guard, before the inspection market was ready for that product, and before we added it as thousands of dollars of coverage into our simple policy as a baseline issue. Long before that, we knew that the stoppages can be from abuse, right? It can be from putting something you shouldn't down a disposal. It could be from double deucing. It could be from whatever's happening. Products that should not be flushed. And so our logic originally was, you need to have some skin in the game. If you screw it up, you should be paying for it. But we've really changed that because we want people to have a basic understanding. What's the deductible on sewer guard? No, it's not a trivia question. 300, that's right. You belt it out, 300, that's right. So why do you think we picked the number 300? It's really simple. There are plumbers and companies that do drain cleanings that go out with an auger and they're able to clear out a pipe for 300 or less, in many cases 150 or less. So when somebody calls here and they have a stoppage, great, you have sewer guard coverage in case you have a real failure. It's not just something that's stuck. What you need to do now is you need to get somebody out to auger the line, to clear the line, and hopefully it just clears out. But we have noted in your account that you had this issue on this date, so there's notification here. If it clears, then that's the best outcome. If it doesn't, then we consider that part of the discovery of the real problem, because the auger will come back with dirt or tree roots or what have you. And then we can put that money towards the sewer guard claim, because that's, it's already money spent. The best outcome for that client, by the way, is what? That they don't have to file a claim. That is the best outcome for the client. The best outcome for the client is they send down that auger, it clears, and never causes any problems again. Because even if we cover it and the issue is repaired, there's an expense to it in time. There's an expense to it in inconvenience. I don't know how many of you have a yard or would like to show up at home to that yard being dug up and take off work to meet a plumber to make sure it happens. I mean, it is a pain in the butt. So when you're talking to a client about a sewer guard claim and they're going, hey, my house is blocked up. All right, you may have a blockage or a stoppage in your main sewer line. Here's the first step. Here's what you do. The second step, we're going to be there for you and make sure your day sucks a lot less than if you didn't have one of our warranties or work with one of our inspectors. All right, so there you go. We gave some points around the room for that. Let's see. I actually have a good one about percentages. What percentage of, and it's okay to guess, what percentage of people, when polled, okay, home buyers, people that are in the home buying process, what percentage of them said that they are unlikely to utilize the agent referred to them by their real estate agent? You can guess a number, and it can have decimals. You have 10 seconds. What percentage of home buyers or likely home buyers in the next 24 to 48 months in a survey said we are unlikely to take our agent's recommendation for a home inspector? They said unlikely. Okay? Go ahead. This will be the last question of the day, and then we will we'll see you next time. Go ahead. I'm going to let you talk this one out. You know what? I'm going to give you a full 15 seconds on this. I actually have the answer here. I know it by heart. It's weird. I remember weird things. But what percentage of home buyers, if you were to go out and ask 1,000 home buyers, would you take your agent's recommendation and referral to an inspector? What percentage of them said, I am unlikely to do that? Virtually no. This is a real poll by an official polling and survey group. It was audited. There's actually demographics as to who the respondents were, what kind of education level they had, where they lived in states, male, female, age categories, whether they had kids. The whole thing, well documented, about 30,000 unique responses to these questions, by the way. And it cost a hell of a lot of money to make that happen. And not only that, but you got to pay people. You got to pay people to be involved in these surveys. So you have to pay these survey companies, because people don't just hey, would you like to take a survey? No. They go, click here to get a free $5 whatever to Macy's, right? And then you click there and it says, hey, this is part of a survey. Are you currently, or will you be soon seeking to purchase a new home? Yes. Okay, great. You just qualified for this survey from, this group. Now here's your questions. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt to get those surveys done. And you'd be surprised how much time there is at night if you don't sleep, which is the category I'm in. So Answers, let's do it. 20%, 30%, 25, 35, 0 to 16.7. Wow. All right. This is all over the board in a room of people that deal with more real estate transactions than anybody else. You know, there isn't a company that's involved in more real estate transactions, and it's the way we do it. We're behind these brands, we're administrative functions, we're value adds. The way we do it, it puts us in a lot of places, and our understanding of that is really important. Who had the highest? I see 35% here. Anybody have higher than 35?
Yeah, I had 78.6.
You had 78%. Okay, but let's go with the 35 here. I want to hear why you think 35%. Go ahead. It's okay. I'm not criticizing. You have no idea whether the answer is correct or incorrect. I'm just asking you how you came to that number.
I mean, we feel like it would be on the lower side, but not.
So you felt like it would be a minority, and to you, 35% was a minority. Okay, we'll go over here. 25%. What was your thought process on the 25%? Okay. So you've taken calls and just, from your personal experience, you're thinking, gosh, some of these people are calling in. They don't necessarily always have just full trust in what their agent says. Okay, I get it. That's all perspective. David.
Mine is from direct conversations with inspectors.
All right. So you have, this is interesting. This is somebody from another department, deals with inspectors all day, and based on what inspectors told him, he came up with what number?
30%.
30%, okay.
So when we talk about getting referral work from realtors, the goal
Right.
is to get on their short list.
Right.
I will often ask them, how much business will you lose if you get on the short list? And their common answer is about a third, 30%.
Right. Okay. All right, so here's the thing. The inspectors believe that it might be 30%. And you even answering some calls had an idea of where it was at. I feel like you wanted to get to the right answer, but you just took what you thought was a minority, and you thought there must be somebody out there that's crazy. Could you hold up the sign over there from Total Recall Check, please? 2%. 2.25% was the answer. 2.25%. Now, the question was posed as, if your agent recommended a home inspector, would you be very likely, like almost certain, likely, somewhat likely, or unlikely to take their referral and their recommendation? Now, here's how you win trivia. You have to have resources. HomeInspectionSurvey.com. You should all be writing that down. HomeInspectionSurvey.com. 30,000 unique responses. There's an explanation as to the background of every single question, the number of responses, the percentage on every single side. You go there, you're going to get a view into how buyers see the home inspection process. And you have to be careful with the information though, right? Because some of these buyers are involved in the process already. They're working with real estate agents. Some of them are going to buy a house 24 months from now. So they only have their perception of what they think will go on later. And then when they actually get involved in a transaction, who do they deal with? Us. Geez, us, our partners, our home inspectors. 157,000 agents, over 9,000 registered home inspectors in our various product lines. And when those buyers get into that process and they get into that transaction, their experience, we don't care if they know our brand. We don't care if we're Apple or a whiskey a barrel. I don't even care if they know how many times there has been a mountainous pile instead of a flush in this building. None of those details matter. What matters to them is that their claims are covered, that their experience is good, and that whatever their expectation was when they started, it's either met or exceeded. So if you want to know what their expectation is, man, you will get some facts. You will start to understand where we come from on some of our processes and procedures, and you'll start to win some things. I have to declare, only on these trivia things, I have to declare in the live for today, and you all did well. Come back again, please. But I have to declare Total Recall Check the winner. because to be within 0.25% out of, from on a number from 0 to 100, it's either luck or it's brilliance, and I don't really care. You can succeed with either one. So go do that. Let's get back to work. See you next time.